How about now? Do we have audio now? We do have audio now. Better, better. I hope that's better. Welcome, welcome everybody. This is such a weird. All of a sudden, it's a weird night. I had almost everything set up yesterday, and it looked good. I came out today, and there's a new update for OBS. I did the new update. Cool. Then I tried to start the stream, and I got a message. It didn't have the right stream key, and it couldn't start it. And then I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, no audio. Let's assume all of those problems are going to be behind us, and we can start anew and do some other stuff. Okay, deep breath. Got it. The paper that I'm using, you notice my paper is already a little wavy, already a little odd. This is from a roll of Bao 140-pound studio grade watercolor paper. Rolled it out, wetted it down, put it under a weight. It's done pretty well to straighten it out. Not fantastic, but that's okay. We'll get there. Oh, Dwayne says, OBS did that to me on a job interview. That'd be frightening for that to happen on a job interview. That would be terrible. The brushes that I'm going to be using, I'm going to be primarily using my favorite, where are they at? My favorite King Art brushes here. Somewhere we can get that in focus. There you are. My favorite 90-20 series brushes. My paints over here on the right hand side are, as always, my M Gram paints, and down there in the corner are all of the colors that I use. It just makes a big loop around my palette. Let's see, anything else I need to talk about? We want to talk about. I'm just going to jump right in. Anybody who has any questions, please throw them out there. I love answering questions. And let me talk about how I'm going to tackle this painting first. So you can obviously see the image up here. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit better as I talk about it. So if you look on the side of his head, there's quite a bit of blue there, right? And some of that blue comes down into the flipper. If you look in between the brown spots on the close flipper, there's a lot of blue in there. And if you follow that front flipper, the close flipper to us up into his armpit, I guess, or his shoulder, you see there's a blue tint up underneath the shell also. Two areas or three areas that I think are really going to be kind of cool in this painting to allow for some different colors. Then we've got a lot of ochres and yellows and browns in there. I'm not always a big fan of doing it, but I'm going to try to do a background, a simple background, a full thing on this painting, but I'm going to do that last like I normally do. All right, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in with a little bit of cerulean here. Just a nice light little wash of this. And I'm going to put this kind of on the side of his face where I was talking about before. I'm just going to put a wash of it down here. If it's exactly right, that's cool. If it's not exactly right, that's cool. It's watercolor. It's going to do a little bit of what it wants to do. It's going to do a little bit of what I want it to do, and we're going to meet in the middle somewhere. And then the other part of it is I'm not trying to replicate that picture specifically. I don't know if everybody here has ever heard my theory on using a reference photo, but I don't try to replicate it exactly. It's a reference. I'm going to use it for some reference points or for some reference colors, and then I'm going to really take it and kind of do my own thing with it from there. Los says, reptiles are really hard to me, and you're going to paint along. Cool. And hello, by the way, he says. Cool. Please paint along. When you run into an area that's a little bit more difficult, please throw it out there. It'll be interesting. I'll try to help you through what I'm seeing and maybe what you're seeing also, and we'll just go from there. That'll be kind of fun. Maybe I could have done this first, is maybe pre-wet everything just a little bit, but I'm going to get some blue down this fin here. As I said, I see some blue up underneath here, maybe even up underneath the shell. I can extend that a little bit. If it looks a little light or a little dark, it could be either of those. I'm just painting it a little darker than what I think it needs to be in the end, and I'm going to hope that this paint is just going to lighten up that little bit when it dries. I don't know that Cerulean dries a whole lot lighter. Maybe 30% lighter. That's okay. Some colors like Paynes Gray probably dries 50% lighter. The Cerulean is probably in that 30% range, somewhere in there. But whatever it is, it's going to be fine. I'm just trying to get a base color on here, or just part of a base color anyways. On here, I feel like I'm having to kind of adjust for this paper a little bit. I've painted for the past few weeks on different paper, and in the short amount of time I've been doing this, this paper does feel distinctly different than the Fabriano paper that I had been using. I'm just going to adjust. It seems like it wants a little bit more water initially to get that paint to flow a little bit, and then I think it's okay after that. So I hope you all, as I'm just jumping in and getting going with this, I hope you all have been having a good week. I feel like I've said this a number of times this summer, but this for me is a Wednesday, Friday. I've worked at my work for a long, long time, and I've built up quite a bit of vacation time. And so I'm having to take it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit here and a little bit there. Not necessarily every Thursday or Friday off, but a couple of Thursdays and Fridays a month I'm taking off. So this week for me is a Wednesday, Friday. I'll be taking the next 2 days off. There we are. There's my blue undertone on a bit of this, and this blue undertone is just a bit of reflection of the water that we're going to put on later. That's all I want to get in here. There are some cool blue areas in here, but I know the turtle really isn't blue. So what am I going to do with my vacation days? Hopefully, I'm going to cross my fingers, I'm going to be able to help my son work on his car. He's got an old Mercedes car, and hopefully I'll be able to get underneath that and work with him to fix some of the issues that he's having. That will be a lot of fun. Okay, so now I have something I need to think about. The turtle's back, right in his shell. He's got those lines between the shell plates, and I need to decide, should those be white or should those be some other color? Do I want to put on a light wash so those aren't bright white? And if I do want to put on a wash, what is that color? What is that wash color? And I do want to put on a wash. White, bright white, full white, I think should be reserved for a few areas to really make your painting pop. A few areas, not that many. So I'm going to just tone this down a little bit with a little bit of this paint. This is mostly an ochre color, right? It's what was in my palette, but it's an ochre color. Now, I'm just going to do this on the shell, And then I'm going to blend some of this out. I'm not worried about blending it out so much as I am about keeping a hard edge. I don't want the hard edge. I just want something to take the edge off of that color. And I think that's pretty good. You can just see there's a little bit on there to take that edge off. Maybe I want just a little bit more here or there. I don't know, something like that. That's probably pretty good. And then that's the start of everything. And now is when everything's gonna get more fun. Because everything from here on out is really gonna start to add shape and dimension and look and feel to this turtle. What we have here is, it's just a little color that we're throwing in because we need a little color on this turtle. So let's think about this. If we look at his shell up here, you're looking quickly over there, but he's got these giant plates on his shell, and there's almost some orange in there. There's some burnt umber. There's maybe a little sepia in there on the bottom edge of the shell. There's probably a little bit of ochre in there, a little bit of gamboge in there to lighten that up. Definitely underneath here, there are some lighter colors under his chest plate here. There are some really gamboge, ochre colors, and down the side down here. This flipper, there's a little bit of that color along the leading edge, but inside here it's going to be dark, and we have to figure out how dark do we want to take this on all of these splotches. Do we want this to be really dark, like put in a dark sepia burnt umber mix, right? Maybe even a little blue in there to gray that down a little bit, or do we want to leave it a little bit more lively? And I'll pull it up. If you look right in here on this reference photo, it almost looks like there's some orange in there. I like some straight orange, like this Azo Orange that I have. So we have to decide how we want to mix those colors in to make this really come alive. And yes, I'm talking and I'm stalling at the same time because it's a little bit wet and I have to wait just a little while longer before I can really get back to it. But those are the considerations that we have before we move through. And I'm gonna open the floor up to you guys a little bit as I'm starting to go through this. I know Dwayne lives. Dwayne lives somewhat close to the ocean anyways. I think you are probably closer to seeing sea turtles than I ever am. The ocean where I live is a lot colder. I don't know that we have turtles up here. At least I haven't seen them. Has anybody ever seen sea turtles in the wild or in real life? To me, that would be kind of an exciting thing to hear about or to talk about. I will say I did see a sea turtle while I was in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. I'm going to tell my Hawaii story. I went to Hawaii. I'm going to say it was 10 years ago now. We made our plans and we were ready to go. The whole family's going, and I got the flu. So the whole family is in Hawaii, enjoying the sun, the surf, the beach. They're snorkeling, they're doing everything, and my head is jammed up. I feel sick. I feel terrible. I don't want to do anything. I stayed in our Airbnb in an air-conditioned room, sleeping for the first 2 days. Oh my God. The color planning is one of my favorite parts of these streams. Dwayne, if you only knew No, I I used to come into these and go, I'll just wing it. And I look at it during the stream and I'm like, uh-oh. Am I winging this the right way? Did I do I have this go in the right direction? But now I do. I look at it much more now and I think, how do I do this? How do I accomplish what I said I was going to? Maybe I have a little less hubris than I thought I did before. Let's see. Dwayne says, yep, 12 nests on Dauphin Island, Alabama. We almost got to see some hatch. Ooh, that was cool. That would be cool. On Dauphin Island. That would be extremely exciting to see some turtles hatch. The closest I've ever gotten to that, and this is not close at all, I will readily admit, was my family used to have some property in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And if anybody knows anybody from Michigan, you know that they all seem to, they don't all, but they all seem to have two houses. One in the Lower Peninsula and one in the Upper Peninsula. Well, my grandparents are from Michigan, and right after World War II, my grandfather bought some property up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and of course, built a cabin up there in a beautiful, beautiful area. If you can look it up, if you would so like, it's just outside. It's about 20 or 30 miles, I guess. I shouldn't say just outside, but it's outside of Munising, Michigan, which sits on the northern shore, just on Lake Superior. And we bought property, my grandfather bought property just outside of Melstrand, Michigan, which, like I said, is 20 miles or 30 miles away from there, on a lake called Crooked Lake. And you can look Crooked Lake up. It's there. And the property sat on the top of a hill and sloped down. And when they were building the cabin, they cut all the forest in a wide swath from the top of the hill down to the bottom of the hill. And the turtles would come out of the lake, climb up the hill, and lay their eggs on the side of the hillside. And so by the time we would get up there in the summer, to play around and whatnot, we'd get up there and we would see the turtle egg shells and a little hole where all the turtles had climbed out. And it was really a really cool thing to see as a kid and be able to look at the little nest. Okay, that's my little trip down memory lane. All right, so I've started with a little bit of brown here, right? So what I've got is an area behind the turtle's head, or behind his neck. I want to start building that up a little bit. I want to keep that neck area a little lighter, so I didn't do it all in this pass. We'll come back and we'll do it. I tried to blend it in down here a little bit. And we'll have to come in and darken that a little bit, but I want to give that a little bit of time to dry. And then I just pulled this across and kind of stopped where this flipper, his right hand flipper, is back here, because I want to paint that mostly as one unit by itself, the same as this one up here. When I put some color on, I want to do a lot of this as one unit at one time. That way I've got the same paint, I don't have to worry about matching colors, and we're all pretty good with it. So this will kind of be one thing I'll paint, that'll kind of be one thing I paint. I'm gonna start working on the shell now. The head will be another thing, and then we'll come back and we'll tie them all together. Okay, now I wanna do this in smaller areas, and because I want to get some cool watercolor effect, I'm gonna do each of these scales in an individual thing, in an individual painting. And I'm going to do this by first getting that scale fully wet. So this is going to do two things. It's going to allow for us to do anything we want to in this wet area, right? It's going to buy us a couple of minutes to manipulate our paint, push it around however we want to. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to preserve that lighter area in between those where I have put on that lighter paint in between the scales. So I'm going to do something like this. Give me a little bit of this burnt umber. Get a little bit of this color on here. And I don't want this to come through as just, you know, an homogeneous color. I want this to kind of blend and mix and be happy together up here. And we're going to make sure that that happens. And by doing that, we're going to, hopefully, with any luck, we're going to assure that these colors all mix and fit together and do exactly what we want them to do. We should be able to end up with something that looks really kind of cool. The only problem with doing this is if you do this, you're either going to have to get the saturation pretty close to right, or you're going to have to be able to come back and go, okay, I didn't get that quite right. What do I need to do on my second go around? OBS reconnection successful. Okay, I don't know. I hope I'm back. Am I back? I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but I'm looking at YouTube. I'm looking at Twitch. I think I'm back everywhere. Liza's here. Hello, Liza. You got here just in time to see the stream crash for a moment, I think. I'm sorry about that. And coincidentally, I think it just coincided with my kids getting home. I can hear the car door slam. Oh, but look at that color. Is that not a cool shell? Something like that. So that looks, to me, that looks kind of cool. I've got a little extra here that I want to just dip out because I don't want it to run. Looks like, okay, Dwayne says, looks like you were back. Liza says, yes, I did. Okay, cool. Woo! Okay, so we got the first bit of that shell done. Let's move on to the second one while we still have something going on, and all the lights went off in my studio. I don't know what is going on here. I'm going to forge ahead. I'm just going to keep right on painting. If everything works out, it's going to be great. If it doesn't, it's going to be a disaster. I'm going to have to start resetting our router or something beforehand. I don't know what has caused the recent rash of stream interruptions. I think my ISP has just kind of gotten bad over the years, and we have seen that here anyways from time to time. All right, cool. I'm going to grab a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other one. I'm going to grab a little bit of this Gamboge. I know you just watched me put some water on a page, which is not the most exciting thing in the world. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing here. I'm putting a little bit of Gamboge on here. I want to get a nice base color on here. Liza says, looks like a good start. Thank you, Liza. Get some of this beautiful Gamboge on here. Like I said, I want some bright colors on here. I don't want this to be a dull kind of a turtle. I want some nice vivid colors on here. Okay, so I've got some of that yellow on there. Let me get a little bit of this burnt umber on here, he says, after he said he doesn't want dull colors. But it's going to be okay. It's still going to look good. The coolness is not the edge of these edge of the shell. It's really in the middle where everything comes together. And where I want to darken this up, I'm going to drop in a little bit of the sepia. And I'm not, like I said on the first one, I'm really not trying to make this an homogeneous color through here. I want this to move and live kind of on its own a little bit as I'm putting this together. Right, so we get a little brown down here. I'm cool with that. Susie is here. Hello, maybe you need to trade your router modem in with your internet provider. Yeah. We have talked about just getting a new internet provider here. You know what's funny is we had such problems when we first moved into this house. And we called the company and we said, hey, this is terrible. Can you guys run a trace? And, you know, our internet's horrible. We can't watch even, you know, two TVs at once without it, you know, being terrible. And they're like, no. We'll run a trace and we'll make sure that you have great internet. And they came out and the first guy's like, oh no, everything's great, everything's great. You should be fine. I can't see why your internet's not working like it should. Cool. So we call back the next day. Yeah. We'll send a guy out. We'll send a different guy out this time and he'll look at it and he'll make a determination. The second guy came out. No, everything looks great. We don't understand why you're having trouble. We call it a third day. A different guy comes out and he looks at our wiring and he goes, oh my God, what were those first two guys doing? I don't understand. How could they have possibly looked at this and thought that this was good enough? So he spent a couple of hours and actually, you know, in my opinion, did a pretty good job fixing things because that's what we had for years and it seemed to work pretty well. Until recently, where we are starting to have problems again. Okay, so cool. Look at how lively this shell looks, right? That first one over there, it's got an interesting color on that. This second one looks pretty lively. Right? There's some interest there. What I don't want to do is just leave this as kind of an outline of something dark around the outside and maybe a little lighter on the inside and, you know, just have a brown frame around some orange on the inside. I want to get some of this color blended through here a little bit. I think that looks pretty cool. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I hope that that's going to stay just dark enough. I think it will stay just dark enough to match that. So when we get these two plates there, that's going to look really good. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do one. I'm going to do two more, really. I'm going to do this one and this one. And then we're going to move on to a different section to let those dry. But I think that's going to give a really cool look to the shell of this guy. And of course, you know, I've got the lines in between those shell plates, right, that are not white. We painted a really soft ochre over top of them, so they're not white. And if they were white, they would really, like, you'd look at them and you go, holy cow, that is really bright. Okay, so trying to start the same way I did the other ones. A little bit of Gamboge on here. Let's put that color on and let's let that spread around and have some fun on here. And I guess this is, technically, right, what we're doing is a little wet and wet painting. And I guess technically what we're doing is some loose watercolor technique, right? Inside the bounds of this, it is pretty freeform. It is pretty uncensored, unregulated. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I don't have a set way I want this to look, other than in my mind, I just want it to have an interest to it. I want it to have a cool look and not be too homogeneous. Other than that, I'm kind of just going with however my brush hits the paper, however this ends up looking. And my hope is, and my thought is, that that's going to give this a little bit extra life. I'm pretty sure it's going to do that. I guess I'm pretty sure it's going to do it because I just talked about how it did it on that one there. I want to get a little bit of orange in here too. And part of the key is we got to keep this wet. We can't let this dry. Got to keep it wet. As long as it's wet, we can continue to play with it, and we can continue to do whatever it is we want to with it. We can manipulate it. We can move it. If you do too much, it can start to look worked, and it's easy to push it around too much and make it seem forced. So I'm trying hard to let the water do the work, and I think I'm succeeding at that. There we go. There's our next one. Look at that. That's got a cool look. I like it. Natalie's here. Hello. Let's see. Susie says, there are a lot of art supply sales on just now. Anyone shopping, or are we not? Or are we no buys? Are we not buying? Are you saying that because it's Prime Day? Or because everybody's trying to compete with Prime Days? Which is a thing. Everybody does seem to have a sale going on right now. I didn't buy any art supplies this year. Natalie, hello. Did I say hello to you before? Hello, Natalie. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Quite honestly, I've been too I should say it, I've been too busy buying fishing supplies to buy painting supplies. That's terrible. I should really reprimand myself for that. How can that be? But I seem to have bought a lot of fishing supplies. And I don't really need any more art supplies. Lord knows I've got so many. I'm trying to burn through the ones I have. Natalie says, you haven't seen anything you've needed. Dwayne says, I bought 7 tubes of Daniel Smith, another book, and a projector. Oh, now a projector is cool. The projector is cool. I like that. With a projector, you can, especially if you're not comfortable drawing things at large scale, and you want to paint a larger picture, you just hang your paper on the wall and project an image up there, and you can trace right away, and you know exactly what you've got. You know that you're getting the exact image you want, and plus it allows you to focus on the painting and not the drawing. And I'll bet for most people get more apprehension of trying to do the drawing than they ever do of doing the painting. I don't know why that is, but I think we all do that to some extent. All right, I like that. Look at that's. It doesn't necessarily look like it has a big shape to it. It looks a little flat, but I love the color in here. I'm just gonna. This dried just a little bit. I'm gonna push that back. Oh, I think that's cool. In my humble opinion, that looks neat. Let's see. Natalie said, I miss buying paint. I'm you, Michael. Eliza says, I can't use all I've got. All my grandsons love Lovey. Oh, there, Lovey is a sea turtle. Terry the turtle. Oh, that's great. Susie says, I have enough for just now. Dwayne says, great effect so far. Yes, so far. Let's see if I can continue with it. Okay. Now I want to get away from this area because I want this area to get good and dry. I don't know that I'm ever going to touch it again, but I'm going to come back here, and I know that that's just about far enough for me to put my finger or the palm of my hand in here. So I'm going to try to get away from that a little bit. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to paint. I have the image up here I'm looking at. I'm going to paint some. I'm going to take this color and extend it out onto here and a little down here with some ochre, right? I'm going to start to get some ochre-y colors on here. So let's do that. And no, my palette's all cuckoo crazy. How bright do I want this ochre to be? Maybe not that bright. I'm just going to put this on here, and I believe there's going to be quite a bit of blending here. So I'm trying to look to see how far I want this to go up. I guess it can go up fairly far. And that's probably far enough going up. And how far around I want to bring this. I can darken this a little bit, and I'm going to follow this kind of, yeah, let's just go over it. I'm going to follow this right on down here, kind of all the way, yeah, just all the way down here. I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be, that's going to turn out nicely. And then I need to blend some of this out. So I'm just going to, and yes, I'm still turning my page a little bit. Here we go. Margaret is here. Hello. I just quietly joined without saying hi first and jumped right into the shopping conversation. That's all good. It's all good, Margaret. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. And yeah, feel free to jump into the shopping conversation. How many, do I still have time for Prime Days? Can I get some more paint? I do need to look to see what M-gram paints I need. Sometimes I run out. I don't really... well, I think I've shown you guys. I have a bin of them up here. And I should maybe make some kind of spreadsheet to let me know what I have and what I don't have, and what I'm close to needing to reorder and whatnot. I just don't do that. I should. I really should. It would make it a lot easier sometimes. All right. So I've got some cool ochre colors on here. A gentle blend in here. Let's push some of that color. I need to push some of this color back. I shouldn't have let that dry quite so much, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay here. Something like that. I think I'm okay with what we got here. Sunike is here too. Arches sells paper in tablets. It's around 20 to 25 bucks. I've got a couple down here. They're wonderful, by the way. They really are wonderful. Okay, so I've got this flipper started. I think it's a good start on there. I like where this is going. I like the direction this one is headed. I like everything about that right now. Now I need to do a little bit here. I've got this ochre color, and I guess what I need to do I didn't think about this, is not hit the white parts or the blue parts on this flipper, but put some color on here. Something like that. I don't know. Should have thought about this a little bit more when I was drawing these out. I think I did this a while ago, a year or so ago, and I was going to do all these little circles on here, and I just went, I think I'm going to make this just a couple of big ones. Just made some bigger circles on there. Went done, done. But I will be able to do this lickety split. I just want to get some color on here. We can actually fill in all of these, because when we go to put on that darker color, I want some color to already be on here that we can blend into, and not have to leave the lighter color when we come back for that darker, if any of that makes sense at all. Okay, cool. And already I like the way this flipper is looking as it's coming out here. Just that little bit of color on here is really making it look cool. Dwayne says, you need an art supply database and a fishing supply database. I do. I do. Snake, in 2 weeks, I will be up in the door. Up in the door. I'm not sure. Liza, I'm not sure I understand that. I hope Sadiq understands that. I still want to get some bow hung. Maybe I should see what's going for Prime these days. Yep. This is bow hung paper. For anybody who wasn't here to begin with, this is bow hung 180 pound studio grade paper. What does bow hung go for? What do you guys? I don't know what I paid for mine. I bought mine a while ago in big rolls. Oh, Michael, it's a place we vacation in Wisconsin. Okay, there you go. All right, that would make sense. Let's see. Susie says, Blick sells 22 by 30 or 30 by 22 inch paper too. Depends on your financial commitment to buy that big, but it's cheaper. You can tear it down into sizes, right, which is what I've done with a lot of mine. That's cool. Natalie says, I see bow hung 10 by 7 sale for $17, 20 sheets, which is funny. So that's less than, or I'm sorry, that's more than, Natalie, that bow hung paper is more than, I believe, the Arches paper that we get. That's weird. That's weird. Let's see. Liza says, just Monday through Friday. We don't like the weekends up there. It's too busy. Wow. So we haven't talked since the 4th of July. Oh, you want to talk busy. Holy criminy. So I was home alone for the 4th of July, which is totally fine. I'm not the point of the story. But I happened to run up north a little bit to the next town north of us for a few hours on the 4th. And as I was coming back, I come along Highway 1, PCH, I guess. It's not, we don't call it PCH up here, but I guess it's Pacific Coast Highway. Up here runs right along the coast. And usually you can find a lot of surfers and some fishermen out there parked along the highway, and that's all well and good. And there are usually, I'm going to say, I don't know, 20 cars or so parked along the highway. And they cut through the fence and get to the ocean, which is, like I said, it's all well and good. Well, when I was driving back, I had to drive past that area, and I would swear there were about 300 or 400 cars. I saw on my way back. I was like, I don't have any idea where all these people are coming from. I've never seen that many cars there before. There's a little beachside park that sits up above the beach, and it was packed with chairs and people with little, portable grills and beach blankets and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, holy shnikey. Like I said, I had never seen that many people. Excuse me, I got to put my hair up for a moment because it's falling in my face. So, man, it was packed here for the first. Let's see, Dwayne got some paper. He got Master's Choice Bao Hong from Mary Artist in Oregon. I think I've heard of them, but I don't know much about them. Let's see, Eliza. I live 4 hours from Dorr. I'm northwest of Chicago. Okay, you guys are making vacation plans. Keep going. I promote that. As long as you're going to take a travel journal and do some watercoloring while you're up there. Sudike, I was hoping you would be up there. Sudike, there you go. You could all meet up and find a cup of get a cup of coffee. That'd be awesome. Let's see. And Susie says Prime Days go through July 11th. So so I got 2 more days to decide if I want to get any art supplies. To go through my stacks to see if I need any. Like Dwayne says, I need an art supply database, and I need a fishing supply database at this point. Like I said, I did order some new fishing supplies. Probably didn't need to. When I needed to order some soft plastics because the fish keep eating mine. I don't understand why. That's kind of rude. Mr. Federal is here. It's turtle time. And it looks like I'm having a little trouble again. I hope it's gonna clear up. Let's see, what do I want to go on to here? What do I want to go on to here? You know what I want to do? Well, you don't know what I want to do. I'll tell you what I want to do. Where am I at with these? I'm going to come back. This is dry. I like doing this so much. This looks so cool to me that I want to come back and do this band around here before I tackle the rest of this. This turned out fantastic. I love this. So we have a challenge, though, right? Here's our challenge. Here's the challenge. We have to, and I'll put up the reference photo so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. If you look at that little picture, I don't know if you recognize it, but I know you can see it. So I didn't draw the line, but somewhere in the center here, running down like this, somewhere in there is the edge of the shell. Underneath it, it's much darker. Above it, it's much lighter. Here, let me let you see the reference photo, and you'll recognize that when you see it. Right? Underneath the lip of that shell, it's much darker. Above the lip of that shell, it's much lighter. So we've got to figure a way to do that. And we can do it one of 2 ways. Right? We can do it one of 2 ways. The first way is we can put the color on and force some dark onto the bottom. If we keep it mostly wet all the way down, we can kind of make that edge wherever we want it to be. The other way to do it is to put your color on just like we did up here, then wait for it to dry and come back and put a darker layer on underneath. I think that's the way I'm going to go. It's a little trickier because the paint, especially the burnt umber and also the sepia, is a it's not a granulating, it's a sedentary pigment, and it's going to sit on the top. So we might have a little issue of trying to get another layer on top of it. But I think let's go with that. Let's try that out. And if the plans change midstream, we'll figure that out too. We're gonna see what happens here. Okay, actually what I want to do is I want to wet this area. I've got a little color on here, but that's fine. I want to do the same thing we did with those bigger scales, and we're gonna wet that whole area. We're gonna do a little wet in wet painting. Wet and wet is fun and terrifying. And I'm going to try to focus more of my color on the top of the shell, and then we'll just allow the underside of the shell to gain some of its color from that second layer where we put the shadow on a little bit. And we can maybe force a little bit of that with some darker color underneath. Maybe we actually put a touch of blue in there. That would help too. Not because I want it to be blue, but we can gray it down a little bit with some of that blue. Sometimes that helps a little bit. We need some more orange in there for sure. A lot more color in there. That's looking better. And a little bit of our burnt umber to round that scale out. I don't know if that's perfect, but it fits with the rest of it. So I'm going to go with it. Right? It fits. It looks right. Okay, and we're going to move on to the next one. We do have a little bit, let me raise it up a little bit. We do have a little bit of dark underneath on the bottom down here. We'll have to go back and put a little bit more on there, but I think we'll be okay with it. Let's keep rolling on away. Dwayne says this did hiccup, and I get it. YouTube is yelling at me there. I've got a couple people over on Twitch right now. Anybody who's there, hello. Where am I looking at? Hello, people. It's hard. I have Twitch on my screen over here, my camera over here. Hello to people on Twitch. If you're there, say hello. I don't want to exclude you guys. All right, and moving along here. I did. Let's see. Sherry says, I bought a roll of arches last year. I haven't started to use it. I'm determined to make my way through what I have before breaking into it. That's laudable. I don't know if I could do it. It's a new toy. I think I would break into it right away. I'm sure I would break into it right away. But typically what I do is I break into it and I'm like, I'm going to use this. This is so cool. And then I get it and I went, okay, well, now I've used 2 or 3, cut and used 2 or 3 sheets of it. Now I need to go and finish everything again. Susie says, do you paint big, Sherry? Good question. What's the largest size that you paint? That's a good, let's everybody can get in on that question. Does anybody paint larger than, let's see, what's a normal size? Normal size is kind of like 9 by 12. Is that kind of what normal size paper is. I think if I buy paper, I think I probably buy it somewhere in that 9 by 12 range. Sherry, mine sat for a long time. I just couldn't open it. Did not want to waste it. That's funny. I guess I kind of did the same thing. Although I didn't view it as wasting it. I bought the first bit of Arches paint I bought. I think I didn't use not because I wanted to waste it, because I didn't think I was ready to use it yet. And so it sat for a long time. Margaret says 9 by 12. Yeah, Los does 9 by 12. Liza, I'm a 5 by 7 kind of gal. Okay, but your oils are bigger. Okay. Susie, 16 by 20. Dwayne, 11 by 15. 15 by 22 on the bench. Okay, so that's a bigger size. It's a good size. Yeah, everybody's going, Dwayne, holy cow. I like painting bigger, but bigger's hard because, this is a foot, and this takes up a third of my table here. And I don't just have watercolors up here, right? I've got my paints over here that take up part of that room. I've got a keyboard on this side. I've got a camera here, water here. It's tough when you get more than 16 by 20. It gets tough to start to find the room. So you get 2 by 3. Natalie, 5 by 7, 10 by 7, somewhere in that range. Okay. That's cool. I used to do a lot of that 5 by 7 stuff. And then I think I went to, what's the next one up? 6 by 9. And then I think I went to a lot of 6 by 9. But when I started, if you look back at all my early videos, they're all 5 by 7. And it seems funny to me now that I would go, oh my, I'm painting something 9 by 12. I don't know how to do it. What brushes do I use for something that large on something that's 9 by 12? I was like, I don't know. But we all get used to, so Dwayne, you do multiple sizes and a little bit bigger. Natalie, you did a couple of different sizes, 5 by 7 and almost twice that size. 7 by 10, 10 by 7. Do you guys find it difficult to get the right brushes to keep the water consistency the same when you move to different sizes? For me, I kind of actually like this is coming along down here. For me, kind of one of the weird things about it is if I break a painting down into little sections like this, I can easily do a painting of any size. But as soon as I try to do a larger wash, I'm lost on a big painting. I'm like, I don't know how to do it because I don't practice on something that big. How do I keep that wet edge? Where do I need to focus the water? How do I do this? But I get so used to doing one size, like roughly this size, I could paint it with my eyes closed. Let's see, Susie, full sheet is a good goal. Wait, Susie's doing a full sheet? I like to paint 22 by 30, but I haven't done it yet. Wow, requires a big board and big brushes too, right? Right. I'm going to submit to an exhibit. Wow. They want greater than 140 square inches. So 10 by 14, is my math right? I don't know, 10 by 14? Cool. Dwayne, I want to see what you submit. That's cool. That's braver than me. That's braver than me. My bravery extends to forcing my paintings on friends and relatives and coworkers. you walk around my office. In fact, I did it. I think I did it for everybody in my office. If you, when you get hired to work with me, I'll offer you a painting. You put it in your office and enjoy it. And I don't know how many are around my office. Quite a few, and I've got a number of them all around my work. They're getting to be everywhere, which is actually pretty exciting. Let's see, Los says, wait, well, hold on. Los, you finished your turtle already? I'm halfway through. Wait, I gotta pick up the pace. How did it, I'm not going to ask exactly how it turned out because this is a subjective thing. How did the turtle turn out for you? Did it turn out the way you wanted it to turn out? Do you like how it looks? I'm cool with fast and loose. And I totally can see how you can do this pretty fast and pretty loose. I'm curious whether what you ended with looks like what you wanted to see it end with when you started. Whew. If I said that right. I think I said that right. I think I got it right. All right, look at doing it this way. You can actually, I put the dark in underneath. I'll have to fix this, but look, it does look like we got a bit of a shell here. Lo says, better than I thought. I really get impatient painting reptiles because of all the repeating shapes. I get that. But that's why you should paint them. Lean into it. Enjoy the process. It's easy, a lot easier said than done. It's a lot easier said than done. Cool, I'm pre-wetting this. And I have to say, since, Erio of the Jose on Twitch is rating, dropping 4 people in. Hello, everybody on Twitch. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. If you have any questions, please ask. I love answering questions. It's one of the reasons I do a live stream. Area of the Ojos. That's how you say it. Area of the Ojos. Cool. I've got for those of you new or just here on Twitch, I got 2 streams going. My integration isn't perfect, so you can't see anybody on YouTube, and people on YouTube can't see you, but we're all here together, so I'm kind of reading things back and forth, so a little patience. Be great. But welcome. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. I got a couple of rules along the way. If you have any questions, throw them out there. Please be kind about it, and I will answer just about anything. I'm not afraid to answer much of anything. I love talking about art, obviously, watercolors. I will talk for paint, paper, and brushes until the cows come home. Sometimes a little longer than that. We had a vibrant discussion a little earlier about anybody buying any new recent art supplies. So if you've purchased any recent art supplies, throw that out there. Area of the Ojo says is looking amazing. Thank you for that. Rustic Pixels is saying it's looking gorgeous. Thank you so much. Whoops. I got some stuff going on here. Let's see. Over on YouTube side, Dwayne says, Susie, it's just dark to light, as in oil, and light to dark, as in watercolor. Oh, so it's not so bad to switch. Dwayne, that's a terrible hard thing to think about. I mean, it's a great thing to think about. It's a hard thing to execute sometimes. Painting, oh, I forgot to pre-wet this. Painting light to dark in watercolors is, I think, the hardest thing in watercolors to do. By far. I don't even think it's close. And I think it's the hardest thing because from the time we are little, we're not taught that, right? You get into kindergarten or first grade or grammar school or elementary school or whatever school we are talking about, you know, little kids. The first thing we're taught is how to paint acrylics, right? Acrylics are cheap. Kids like acrylics. You can put them on. You get some cool color right away. That's awesome. But the acrylics are a dark to light medium. And that dark to light sets the tone that we think of whenever we do artwork going forward. That alone, to me, is the hardest thing to break in watercolor painting. When you're thinking about watercolor painting, trying to figure out that light to dark. Let's see, Lowe's posted something in Discord over there. I haven't looked. I'm assuming it's the turtle that you've painted. Let's see. Liza says it's lovely. It's getting there. It's gonna get there. It's gonna continue to get better and better. It will. Let's see, that's gonna go up a little bit. It's gonna get better and better. But there we go. We can kind of see that shell. Right, remember I said we had to figure a way to get that shell, the curve of that shell, the edge of that shell on there. I think we kind of got that. Put a little bit more color on here. I think we've kind of got that. As it comes around here, it's got lighter on the top and a little darker on the bottom. My eyes are starting to hurt. I do need to do a little bit more up here. If I want to try to be true to the original image, we got a little bit to go up here. I think I can force a little bit of a line there, and I think we'll be okay with it. Just going to tap a little bit of that out. Something like that. Okay, cool. We are right there with it. All right. So this part of it, whoops, we got a little bit to go. This part of it I really like so far. I think that's looking fantastic. The rest of it, the other 70%, well, we're going to get there. But that part, I think looks great. I'm frozen. Oh, God blessed. Are we back? Margaret, you haven't had any interruptions. That's interesting. Everybody else is having interruptions. I'm looking, and I've got green lights here. I've got green. I don't have a green light. I do have a green light in YouTube. And Twitch says I'm unstable. That's a mean thing to say. That doesn't that doesn't seem very nice. Oh, maybe it means the connection is unstable. That's probably what it means. All right, let's finish these last few scales off here. While we're here, let's just finish these off. And make this look fabulous the whole way around. You know what? I want to drop a nice little bit of orange in here. Let's get some nice orange in the back here. A nice blob of orange. Keep that color going. Tracy's here. Hello. Tracy, thank you for joining. It's been a while. Whoops. That's too much. If anybody doesn't know, Tracy has her own YouTube channel on here. And you posted, I believe, Tracy, you've posted a bit lately. You posted I think you posted a couple of drawings and a painting, did you not? And some stuff from a few stores, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to try to get all, these are pretty small. I'm going to try to get all of these all at once here. I think we can do that. Let's see, I'm going to make these two one big one back here. I blinked out completely. Okay, guys, I totally apologize about the connection. I do not know what's going on with it. I wish I could jump in and fix it. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can jump in and fix it. I'm also pretty sure that if I jump in and fix it, I'm going to have to end the stream right now, and I don't want to do that. It just blipped for me. I think what's going to fix the stream really is getting in the house and saying, hey guys, Wednesdays at 7 to 9, you can't be, I don't know, playing Minecraft or whatever I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what my kids do online. I know my oldest plays a lot of games and my youngest watches movies. But which of each of those are doing at any given time, I don't know. Okay, there we go. We've got some cool scales here. I guess they're scales. They are scales because they come off. They flake off. I used to own a turtle. Has anybody ever owned a turtle? Let me say that. I went out and back in. Natalie said you went out and back in and it fixed your blinking outness. I think most of that is on my end. Delana is here. Hello. Mary Artist in McMinnville, Oregon has great supplies. I love shopping there. Delana, are you from the Oregon area? Did you just find it online and went, this is a really cool place and I want to do some shopping here? Work has been that's right, Tracy works at Amazon, so work has been pretty busy here and we're currently in the big Prime sale. Mr. Federal said, I had a red-eared slider, which is cool. As a little girl, had a turtle, and so as a little girl, I had a turtle. So did my brother. They were very little ones. Hi, Dylan. Dwayne says, hi, Dylan. I just got a delivery from them recently. I had a turtle named Tucker, and Tucker was a red-eared slider, and I think turtles, not that I am suggesting that turtles be pets, but I think as a pet, turtles are fun to have. Mine, anyways, I'm only going on my personal experience, but Tucker was very gregarious. I'd come home at night and let Tucker out, and Tucker would follow me around, and we would have some adventures. I actually think Tucker was a girl. I'm not sure, but Tucker would follow me into whatever room I was in and sit down next to me. And I also had a cat at the time, and Tucker would follow the cat around, and the cat and Tucker would play games together, or I'm assuming they would play games, but Tucker would, push the ball over to the cat, and the cat would push it back from time to time. I was completely amazed and astounded that Tucker had the personality that he or she had, but completely happy to see it as, you know, we don't always think of turtles as having a big personality or really any personality at all. And it was just such a kind of a blessing to see. Let's see, Liza, we had everything. Hamsters, a chick briefly, until we got too big, and me or dad gave it to a farmer. No. Oh, that pains me. Chickens are great pets. Yes, I know. Everybody knows. I love my chickens. I love me some chickens. I think chickens are fantastic. I'll give you an update on my chickens. Mr. Federal says, my turtle was the same way, always in my business. We would climb to the top of the Roomba for a ride. Oh, okay, we'd climb to the top of a Roomba. That's funny. Climb to the top of the Roomba. All aboard the Roomba Express. Let's see, I'm just putting a little color on this wing, this flipper here. A little bit of color there. You can see that little bit of color really helps that look nice, right? We've only got part of this done because we've got to do this underneath part under here, and that's a bit darker under here. So I want to get the top part of this done, and then we'll worry about this underneath part here in just a second. We'll worry about this underneath part in just a second. It's gonna be all good. I gotta let that dry. I can't play with it. I've gotta let that dry before I do anything else. Let's see. Over on Twitch, it said Ben Aviv, when they come off, it's called scoot. I'm assuming you're talking about the scales. It's called scoot. But that's for an aquatic freshwater turtle. No idea about sea turtles. This is probably the same. A scoot. They call it a scoot when the scales come off. Interesting. I had no idea. I had no idea. But having had a turtle, I'm constantly amazed. Okay, so let's see. What do we have to do here? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go to next? I think I'm going to go up here to his head. I need to clean a little space. Let's put some of this ochre up here. And I'm going to start up here. I think I can, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to start with some ochre here and blend it back just from here, and I'm going to pull it back this way. Yep. This is what I'm going to do. A scoot. Interesting. Tucker would come over to me. I don't know if this is part of the shedding or not, but Tucker would come over to me when he would shed his scales, and he would sit down and he would rub against me, which I'm assuming felt good for him. And I would just grab, I'd rub him and rub him and rub him and get the edge of one of those and just kind of twink and plunk it off, and those big flaky scales. I always thought that was really kind of a cool thing to get those giant scales like that. So I'm just pulling this out a little bit. I want this to be a nice long blend out of there way back down here. Probably need a little bit more and a lot of water. I don't really want this to be totally blue. I'm okay with some of it being blue, but I want some of it to start to get a little different color too. So I'm just going to put a layer of this other color on there, and then I'm going to leave this pretty white up here. I guess I could go right over his eye. That doesn't matter. All right, cool. So I didn't get away from all of that blue, but by putting this color out here, now we've got some, we got this striking variation here. Now we've got some variation here. We've started to get some here. We're building up. Some cool colors on here. Benevive says it's a natural part of the grow process. It's like a fingernail. It's rather like a fingernail. If I could pick mine off, some days I wish I could do that. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it grows, right? The shell doesn't expand unless it pops off a little bit. That's cool. Let's see. Delana says, I'm from Dallas, Oregon, and I drive to McMinnville, get to shop in person, which is awesome. It's always great to be able to go to a cool art shop. I'm new to watercolors, and they are patient with your questions. Cool. I'm glad they're patient. Well, I mean, if they're in the business of selling art supplies, I hope they're patient with you. Delana, you were very lucky getting to shop in person and having people to talk to about art supplies. Absolutely. Geez, Michael, I think you are onto another painting that needs to be framed. I hope so. And Tracy says, you're doing an awesome job on it. Thank you. Thank you. It's getting there. We'll see if this needs framed or not. Most of my stuff doesn't get framed. It just kind of gets hung up in my office. I put some push pins in it and hang it up on the wall in my office. Or somebody else's office, depending on how much space I have left. So I think what I'm going to do, how do I want to start this? What I'm going to do is I'm gonna get some of this. Give me a little bit of orange in there too. Give me a little bit of orange in with my burnt umber, and let me explain what I'm talking about. And I'll show you here, and then I'll show you the reference photo, and you can see what I'm talking about. Up in here, it's very dark, right? I almost left where that shadow line. You'll see a shadow line right there. I only have certain spots drawn on each side of this. So what I want to do is I want to take some of this dark area here, and I want to start pulling it down this flipper. And I'm going to paint everything from up here down the flipper that isn't one of the spots, right? So let me show you what that looks like over here. And you can see where I have painted on mine is kind of where that deep, dark line is at, right? The shadow line in there. And then I'm going to take my color and pull out from there, and the flipper itself is pretty dark. I know there's a lot of white lines in there, and I'm just going to gloss over most of those because watercolors, right? I don't want this to be so tight that everybody goes, oh, it's an exact replica. It's whatever. Not really my thing to do an exact replica. I want to use this as a reference, get a cool vibe going from it, and then put my spin on it, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but that's my story. I'm kind of sticking to it. And we're going to start to connect some of these areas. And I think if you bear with me for a little bit, you're going to start to see what's going on with this. I got a whole bunch of colors in here. Let's get me some more. So I want to work on this flipper, but I don't want to paint any of. Let's see, I'm gonna make a decision. I'm just gonna go right over top of that. I'm painting around all of these areas. Give me a little yellow or a little orange in there. I love the look of orange next to the burnt umber. I think it's a fantastic color. I love it. That's why I keep putting orange, that Azo Orange in here. I think it's a cool color. I like the way it looks. So I'm going to go around a few of these, and I'm just pulling this down with me. Let's see. I'm actually going over a couple that I've pre-drawn, and I'm okay with that. Pull it right on down here. If we come out this way, we can modify this color a little bit. That's okay. Let's see, I'm gonna go there we go, something like that. So that's gonna be the inside of this flipper. Right, everything else are going to get little dots on it. They're going to get some of these big brown marks, and I can't work back up this way too far because it started to dry already. So I'm kind of stuck right there. I'm going to try to get a little bit of this out. And if I can't get it out, I'm not going to worry about it because we're going to go over that again anyways. But I think most of that'll come out. There we go. So that's it, and then we'll come back and we'll paint on all these individual ones out here, and it's going to look fantastic. It's going to look really nice. Let's see. Tracy says, do it. Austin John loves to say, yes, looking really good. Liza's saying, I was just playing with the color orange today. Liza, what were you doing with orange? Tell me what you were doing with orange. I love orange. Orange is a fantastic color. And I think, my personal opinion, orange is much easier to work with than red. And I don't have a reason why that is necessarily. I just think that it is a bit easier to work with than red. I like it a bit more than working with a red. Reds and yellows are difficult to work with. They're tough colors. Orange, I think, is a relatively easy color to work with. I don't have a good reason why that would be. I have no idea why that would be. I just in my experience, for me, the way I paint, I think it kind of works out that way. So I'm curious what you were doing with orange today. I like orange. Let's see, I used Cerulean Blue, right? Let me dip a little bit of that Cerulean Blue in there. This should help to make that look like it's underneath a little bit, right? It's got to be underneath there. A little bit of darkness. Cool, right there. All right. We're getting there. And in not too much time, this is almost done. This whole thing over here is almost done. I do want to just give me a little bit of color, something, anything. I want to go over this a little bit. I hope this is super dry. I want to put a little bit of a glaze over top just to bring that white color down a little bit. Just a little bit. Ooh, there. Give me a little bit of that color down here too. Okay, cool. Oh, yes. I like that. Let's see. I mixed orange with blue to make greens. Okay, you know, I struggle with greens, right? Natalie says, Julia Liss Art posted a pickle painting tutorial today. That's a new topic. A pickle painting. Oh, that's fun. I like pickles. Natalie says, I struggle with oranges looking fake or dull. Interesting. Liza says, I got the idea from Emma Lefevre. Tracy says, I'm heading back to the work floor. Okay, Tracy, thank you for stopping by. I know, I'm sure You are so busy right now. I appreciate you taking the time to stop in and say hello. Get back to work. I don't want you to get in trouble. So bye. Thank you for stopping by. Please don't get in trouble. Let's see. I'm going to get a little bit more of this gray up here. I'm going to paint just a little bit of this gray up underneath here. I'm going to pull this way out. I'm just looking now to see where I can make a few adjustments. I know I've got a long way to go yet. We're not there yet, but we can start with some of these little adjustments right now. Okay, that was really bright for me in there. That darkening that down that little bit looks a lot better. A lot better. Whew. Okay. This I've got to let dry a little bit. I can do a little bit of work probably up here. Let's do that. Let's do that. He's got an orange spot. An orange spot. Oh, now I've got orange on the brain. He's got a spot or two right here. I don't have any of these drawn. These are pretty small. Any of these little ones. In any of these we want to add a little shot of extra color to. I'm totally on board for dropping a little bit of a different color into. Absolutely. As long as we're staying within our, color range, the colors that we've been using on this whole thing. I don't want to get out of the umber here, the burnt umber. I don't want to get away from the orange of the Gamboge. But if we have any of those that we want to pop into here to make a slightly different color on any of these spots or scales. I don't know if these are spots or scales. I don't, quite honestly. I don't have any ideas, especially the little larger ones. It's a good idea to add some extra interest to those. So I'm going to drop a little bit of orange there. Oh, he's looking cute. He's getting there. Right? He's totally getting there. And what I do normally, if I look at these and I go, oh, that one looks a little too dark, I'll steal a little color from a different one and blend it a little bit. Sometimes that really helps. There we are. There. Cool. I do have to want to make his eye stand out a little bit. I'm going to freelance a little bit right around his eye here. I think that will help to make his eye stand out when we paint that in. And I know there are a couple of lines that need to come on this side. That will really help. I need to look up here. Thunderpup on Twitch says it's looking good. Thank you, Thunderpup. Thank you. It's getting there, right? It'll get there eventually. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's going to get there. Liza says it's really coming together. Natalie says, I watched a few of the beginning of the month, but I fell behind. You're talking about the, what's her name? Julia, whoever, somebody not me. No, that's cool. Liza says, you know what I always say, he gets his personality from his eyes. I don't know if I do it perfectly, but they do. Lots of animals get their personality from their eye, right? It's one of those, it's that area that, I don't want to say it humanizes an animal, but there's a lot of personality in your eye. And we associate a lot of feeling with your eye. So, yeah, it makes sense that an animal you can have the same body shape painted, you can have the same stance, you can have the same everything, and you give it a sad eye, all of a sudden it's a sad painting. You give it a happy eye, it's a happy painting. The eye is a wonderful thing like that. Okay, so let's see. Let me get a little bit of something on the back side here. And what do I do with his nose? Let me just give a little bit of something here in his nose. I hope that's going to be recognizable as a nose. I don't know. I think so. Well, without his eye there, it just looks like a number of dots, really. But it's going to get there. It's slowly, I'm going to say, this painting is slowly really coming together. I like the direction that this is taking. It's looking really good to me. We do have a bit to go, and that's okay. But it's looking really good. So I think before I come back to here, I'm going to do a little work under here. So if you look at the reference photo, this blue ends somewhere around here, and it's got a nice color that comes kind of from under his chin and wraps around here, continues down along here. That's what I'm going to tackle next. The light goes out of the... wait a minute. Eliza says, I was a hospice nurse and when somebody passes, the light goes out of the eye. Julie does similar size paintings. All right. Where was I at? Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of my burnt umber. I'm going to mix that with a little bit of this yellow ochre. And I want to water it down a little bit. Right? And how am I going to do this without getting my fingers in everything? Come like this. And that's probably plenty of color. I can pull this way down. Now I have to be mindful as I'm doing this. I have to be mindful of the flipper behind. If I get these colors too similar, then I've got a decision to make. The decision is going to be, what do I do with that flipper? Is the flipper behind it need a stronger color, or am I good with it that and the neck needs a stronger color? And I don't know what the answer to that is. We're going to figure that out right now as we do this. All right, I've blocked some color on here. Okay, I blocked some color on. I'm going to turn it a little bit, and I'm going to blend this side up. I think I've caught it soon enough, and this side down a little bit. And just give this a wonderful blend right in there. And as we come back here, let's see. This is gonna come down here. Something. Oh, right on back. Look at that. Okay. I'm liking where this is going. And I can pull this right onto some of this flipper. And we've got some a nice area in here. Actually, I'm hoping this is gonna lighten a little bit as it dries, and it should lighten and be really nice in here. And I do want to just, before I get too dry, just get a little bit more gray back here and darken this up. This is actually pretty dark right behind his neck, or right behind his head back here. And I have the opportunity to blend that into some of that color at the moment. As long as I don't have too much water on my brush. Good, 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 good. Good, I like that. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Got a few, oh yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do something here. That's okay, that's okay. We'll get to that. How long have we been going here? Oh my Lord, an hour and 43 minutes. It feels like I've been painting for 25 minutes. How has an hour passed? How is over an hour and a half passed? Please, somebody tell me, how is an hour and a half passed? I don't have any idea how this has happened. I really don't have any idea. It does not seem like it's been an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes that we've been painting. And it's not because of anything I've done. It's because you guys are getting into the conversation and joining in. Makes the time go so much faster. So much faster when you all join in. It really does make it much more enjoyable for me when you guys speak and are active, because it takes my mind off of doing some of the painting. I'm in the zen, right? I'm in the zone. I'm just doing my own thing. That's exactly what it is. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just gonna sit here and paint. And if you guys can hang out with me, that's cool. That's kind of how it goes. Let's see. I want to get a little extra color on some of this. I might have gotten a little too much. This is an ochre. It's a sedimentary color. We can get most, if not all of that off. That's my bad. But I want to give a little bit of, yeah, that's still a little too strong. That might be a little better. Okay, I can live with that a little bit better. Give me a little bit of that color. That goes up and looks like it goes underneath there, doesn't it? I think it does. It's totally underneath. I think that goes underneath. Turtles in. I'm in Turtles in. I'll tell you what I did forget. We get a couple little things back here too. Look. 1, 2. Yeah, let's leave that like that. All right, cool. So I'm looking at it. I really like the blue behind here. I put the blue in there, and the blue maybe was a bit strong, maybe was not exactly right, but I think that blue works. I'm trying to fix some of the corners, the edges of these. I don't like the way that they kind of don't sit exactly right, but come on, give me some color. I think we can make those a little better. Okay. I'm gonna not mess with that. But as I look with this, after we got these spots on here, and they kind of go in a pattern like this, they give some dimension to the turtle here. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I am. I'm gonna paint a little bit underneath his top lip here. Just a little bit of color under here. And a little bit on this side. So we know where his top lip is at. You can see, he's gonna, what do turtles eat? He's gonna eat some kelp. He's gonna munch on some kelp with this mouth. He's gotta be able to scrape that out of there a little bit. I think we've got a little gray area we need to do up here. Let's see. Kelly, hey, well, welcome. Kelly loves colors. All right. I like that. The reflection of the blue water will definitely reflect on the white areas. Exactly. Great minds think alike. All right, now you know where his mouth is at. Now there's no doubt. No doubt at all. Trying to be very gentle about putting a dark line on there. There we go. I think I can live with that. Whew. Now we've got to tackle this. I can kind of live with it. This isn't quite dark enough for me, but I could live with that. This looks good. Got the shell here. The transition in here is okay, but I don't want to go any darker with that. I could go a little darker right over in the back part here. I love the way it comes down here. I actually like this brown orange mix in here. I told you I love browns and oranges. Could put a little bit of more color over here. How do I want to do this? What do I want to do? I think I'm gonna do this. I think I'm gonna put a little gray, a little of the gray on the bottom of his chin here. And then let that run all the way back. And I'm going to let that be the difference between the two. I think that's how I'm going to do that. That way I don't have to paint what's behind it. So I sometimes don't like to paint darker colors behind and lighter colors in front. If you haven't planned for it properly, it gets really weird. So if I put a darker color on the front and leave that lighter color behind, we will start stacking depths of things, and it will look okay. So we're gonna get okay. So we're doing it. We're getting there. I'm gonna come up one more brush size, and we're gonna tackle all of these in here. Cool. Let's do it. And then we got the and then we got the background that we're gonna do. And the background frightens me because I don't like backgrounds. I like my backgrounds to be white, but in this case, he needs to be swimming in water. He needs to swim in some water. He can't be floating in nothing. I guess we could put him in space. He could be a turtle in space. Well, no, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that. Let's put him in the ocean. I think that's the best thing we could do for him. I think I got a little dark on that spot there. It's all right. We will figure it out. And when you're doing this, if you do this and you leave these weird spots, these lines on here like I'm doing, it's okay. It's a style choice. You don't have to do everything exactly like the reference photo, indicates. That reference photo is there as a reference, not as a hard guide saying you must do this or you must do that. What we might do, though, if you don't like that, we can come back and soften that edge a little bit. Maybe that was what we should have done to start with, is soften that edge just a little bit. I don't think it looks bad. It's a choice, but we could come and glaze over top of it. We could let the whole thing dry and glaze over top of it and get rid of some of that hard line that's there. If that bothers anybody. Honestly, I'm not sure it's going to bother me a whole lot. But I do understand that sometimes... Oh no, the background. Will I do wet on wet for the water background? I'm going to have to. The shadow between the shell and fin has bluish in the pocket. Back here? Yeah, there's definitely some blue back there. There is definitely some blue back there. And yes, yes, I'm going to have to do some wet and wet. I'm going to have to bring out a big brush. It just frightens me to death. I don't like doing super giant washes. I'm good at a lot of things. I don't feel like I'm necessarily good at that. So I can use it as a practice. I probably should practice larger washes more. I used to practice washes all the time and kind of got out of it. Oops. And probably shouldn't have gotten out of it. And I don't know, they frighten me a little bit. Is that a terrible thing to say? I don't feel as confident doing those as I do doing other things. And as a result, I don't do them that often. It's not that I can't do them. We are here to challenge you. You're here to challenge me. Thank you. Thank you. I do need a challenge. Every now and again, I need a good challenge. But I knew going into this one that was going to have to be a thing. But I knew I wasn't just going to be able to plop this guy on a white page and call it good. That was never going to fly. I knew that. I'm dropping in a little bit of orange as we go down here. Not because I necessarily think we have to have an orange in here. I just think that orange is such a lively, bright color, and it looks so good in the rest of this painting that I want to make sure we get it in some of the other areas. Right, and we've got just that little bit of some ochre color coming through on a few of these. I don't want to get a hard line on this one. Please don't be too dry. Cool, we're good. A little extra color coming in here. Look at that. And when you mix in some extra colors like these, like this orange that's in here, I don't know that anybody's necessarily going to look at this and go, oh, that's cool that you put that orange in there. But when people look at this painting, they're going to look at it and they're going to go, well, sea turtles have all these brown spots on them, and they're a pretty recognizable thing. And then they're going to look at it and go, wait a minute, that's not brown. There's something else going on there. And then they're going to go, how did you do that? You're going to go, well, I did it by, well, yeah, I mean, you can tell them the truth. I did it by dipping a little Azo Orange in there, and it made it look really cool. Or you can go, well, I would love to tell you, but I can't do that. Let's see. I'm very interested in not comfort, but in challenge. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Liza. Kind of loves colors. Practice with a turtle-shaped silhouette on a separate page first, maybe. No, I'm just going to jump in for the wash. I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to do it. I've done enough washes. I ought to be able to do it. That's what I need to tell myself. I've done enough washes of this sort that a little background wash shouldn't throw me, even though it will. But if I make sure I do it in nice and wet, and that I leave a wet edge on part of it, it's going to be totally fine. It's going to be totally fine. Let's just have some extra color out here. This is going to get some extra color out here. because I want it to have a little extra color. That's gonna be fun out here. I really dropped in some orange and some gamboge out here on this one. And we could paint this, and we could be a, you know, slave to convention, and we could try to do this all brown, but it's just little things, little variations. And in watercolor, it's so easy to do, and it gives such a dramatic effect that why would we not at least try it out? If it doesn't work, you know what we can do? We just glaze right over top of it. No big deal. But we know it's going to work. A couple of more. We got some bigger scales back here. Are these scales too? Those are scales. I guess these are scales. I don't know. If you are me, you jump in a lot and do the same paintings like 3 times. That's it. Perfect. I keep trying to get it where I want, and you can't do that without the jump. Yeah, you could, but it wouldn't be as much fun. It's more fun just to take a big leap, a jump, and go, I think I got it. Oh man, I don't have it. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, wait a minute, you know what? I think I do have it. Watercolors are fun like that. Watercolors should, if you do them right, and I use the term right very loosely because there's no right and there's no wrong. If you do watercolors right, you're going to do your painting and it's going to look horrible. It's going to look good, and then it's going to look horrible, and then you're going to look at it again and you're going to go, this looks really good, and then it's going to change and it's going to look terrible, and then you're going to change and it's going to look great. That's the nature of the beast. That's how watercolors seem to play out. Is that they like to play with us a little bit and give a little give and take in there, and some of that give is it looks good, and some of that take is it looks terrible, and somewhere in between is what we end up with. But that's the fun of doing it, is that we see both sides of it, and when you're done, hopefully you've landed more on the side of it looks fantastic, which you all do, rather than, oh my Lord, what was I thinking when I did that? And that's the fun, that's the draw of watercolors, is how do you make it to be more of one and less of the other, right? More of the watercolors mind exercise. That's it. It is. It's a battle some days. And not a bad battle. It's just a matter of, I know what I need to do, and you've got to figure out, is the water that day, is the paper that day, is the paint that day going to let you do what you want it to do? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. If you're, especially, Natalie, I know you go out and you do plein air painting. Plein air painting is the ultimate battle space, because every day you go out, it's totally different. It's completely, totally different. The humidity is different. The air is different. The temperature is different. The sun is different. How do you work when it's 90 outside and it's 40% humidity? I don't know. You figure it out. You make it work. You know how you want to do it. You know how you need to do it. You're just not exactly sure when you get there what all the steps are or whatnot. I mean, you know what the steps are, but you're not sure what you need to lean on a little bit more this time as opposed to next time. And that's part of the fun of doing plein air. Here, where I'm at, I know that humidity plays a huge factor. So on days where we have 90% humidity, right, it'll still only be 65 degrees, but we might have 95% humidity because the fog is rolled in so thick that I can't see across the street. Cool. That's going to be different than if it's 70 degrees and 40% humidity here. Let's see. Natalie says, Kelly loves color. Hang out here a few weeks and Michael will come back to birds again. I will. I love painting birds. I'm very much enjoying this watercolor stream versus the loose landscapes. Thank you for that. You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't do too many landscapes. Landscapes aren't really my thing. I do like to paint birds, animals in general. I like to paint food. What else do I paint? Don't know. I don't know that I got this exactly right. That's okay. Let's push that out a little bit. I do need to do a little bit more up here on his eye. So let's do a little bit more up here on his eye. I'll go around and do just that little bit right there, and we'll come back to that even and do a little bit more. I like this. Oh, I like this. I like the way this is looking. I think this is looking pretty good. Kelly, I constantly have fails, so I never run out. If you throw away the fails, how do you reference the things you would do differently the next time by looking at it? So, that's a great question. Look, I have a whole stack of paintings here, and I just talked about it on Discord, or asked about it on Discord. I have all these paintings. There's nothing wrong with them, right? No background on that one. Not a bad painting, but not anything spectacular. Here's another bird. There's a condor. Just kind of blah. There's not a whole lot going on there, right? Here's a raven. Again, just kind of blah. A pigeon. Whoop, where's my camera? A pigeon that's just kind of so-so. Right, some statue. Oh, a statue that I did. I did this probably 15 or 18 years ago, right? It's just kind of so-so. Some seagull, more birds, some seagulls here. I love the imagery here. It reminds me a lot of where I'm at. But all of these are just kind of so-so. So I'm taking those. I'm going to pull the ones that are in the mats. I'm going to pull those out. And I'm going to take a look at them and see if I can do them better. I'm going to adjust them. And the raven, Kelly says, the raven looks like he needs some blue. The raven needs some help. Where is the raven? The raven's fine. There's actually a bit of red. Oh, maybe I should do it this way. There's actually a bit of red in that raven all through the wing. I actually did this without using black. There's no black in this. So that was my challenge for this one, I believe, is to do this with no black. So this is all a mixture of looks like reds and greens to me. So when I look at it, it's greener here. It's pink all through here. So it's one of those things. So is that a perfect way to gauge how you've done things over the years? I don't know. Probably not. But it's a start. And can you take something you painted, 10 years ago and, right, quote, use air quotes, fix it? Yeah, Thunderpup on Twitch over there, getting back to the painting in different conditions, said, I never thought about humidity. Humidity, depending upon where you're at, humidity is a killer. For me, here where I'm at in California, oftentimes this is going to seem a little backwards, but my January, super dry. My November, super dry. December can be super dry. right? The rest of the nation is getting, you know, snow or rain, depending upon how far north you are. For my area of the country, if we don't get rain, it stays super dry, and we don't get any fog in the winter. All of our fog is here from May through September-ish, right? We have plenty of fog right now. It's fantastic. And that's where we get all of our water. So I will come out here some days and paint, and I'll put water on just like this. I think this is probably one of the reasons I don't do something like this. I'll put water on like this, and it'll take an hour to dry. I literally will have to put a hairdryer on it, or it'll be damp until the next day, because our humidity is so high, and it just never goes away. It's relentless. That's cool. That's a challenge, right? But if I go out in a different time of the year, or sometimes even a different time of the week when we don't have any fog, boy, it could be 35% humidity, and that would really be different. It's difficult to paint and it's not just. That's the thing that makes watercolors even harder. It's not just mastering the paper, the paint, the any one thing, right? It's not just that one thing that makes it usable, right? Oh, cool, I mastered how to put paint on paper, and I've got the perfect amount of paint to put on in any situation. Cool. Watercolors is going to throw 6 more things at you, and you're going to go, oh my Lord, I never thought of that, or I've got the perfect amount of paint on there, but now I've got to sit for 40 minutes until I can put my next layer on, or, you know, some such thing as that. I don't know. It's super challenging, but it also makes it super fun to do, right? That's what makes it unlike any other medium out there. Is I'm trying not to use too much Cobalt Blue here. Cobalt Blue, in fact, I should probably mix in just a little bit of this neutral tint in here somewhere. I don't want the watercolor to be, right, super bright and blaring. I'm okay if it's a little bit more muted. And I don't think, so lots of times when I do my backgrounds, I like to put my color much more intense right up by the subject. Because when you do that, one of the things that it does is it will draw your attention. It draws the viewer's eye right to it. It looks to see where that intensity is at, and draws your eye right to it. I don't want to do that with this. I want this to stay fairly muted. The other thing I want it to stay is very light. And that sometimes is something else I have a little trouble with when I put on a background, is I make that background much too dark, and it overreaches what it should do. Whoops, that's dirty water. It should just be enough to give the indication of something going on and nothing more. To me. I don't want my background to be so much that it assaults the viewer's eyes and takes away at all from the subject. And that's why I don't often put on a background, is because I want the subject to be the subject. I don't want the background to play much of any part. That's an artistic choice. Happens to be an artistic choice that not everybody agrees with. And I'm okay with that. And you saw I put on quite a bit of color, and I'm just going to I'm just going to move it around until it gets to where I want it to be, because I don't want a whole lot. And that stupid neutral tint got right there as a blob. I didn't want that to happen. That's okay. That's okay. The other thing I don't want to do is put on one color on this background. I am totally fine with these multiple colors that I have going on here, right? I'm using cerulean, I'm using a little ultramarine. Like I said, there's a little bit of neutral tint in here. We might be able to get some of that out. I don't know. If we wanted to, we could put some lines up here. These should fade way out, but they should give the indication that this guy's maybe swimming just under the top of the water. Right, there's some ripples up here. Oh yeah, why don't I do a little fatter stroke like that? I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. Let's see. Great point. Black isn't always for dark images. And then Liza, it looks like Liza is signing me up to do some more videos. Is that what I'm seeing? My eyes are starting to hurt. Michael, I really admire your precision. Oh, I don't know, Liza. I don't know that I have a whole lot of precision here. I'm going to get some of this waviness out. As I'm looking at it, I'm not quite brave enough to do it as dark as it needs to be. So I'm just going to pull some of this out. And maybe if I pull out a little bit like this. Yeah, all right. I don't know. I'm okay leaving it like this. Just a gentle background back there. I've got a little less color here, a little more over here. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about that at all. All right, so now I've got that background on there. It's going to sit and it's going to dry, and now I can hopefully, with any luck, do any last minute touch-ups that I really need to do. And I'm going to make this eye just a little darker even. I used Paynes Gray for the original bit on this eye. And now I'm going to come over it with a little black, and I'm going to try just to blend this out really nicely and leave a little highlight there, right? It's not much, just that little highlight. And then we'll go back, we'll still go back and we'll put on a dot of a highlight with white gouache. But I want to make sure we get that nice and dark right there. And so I want to see, did I forget about anything? Did I forget about anything on this? We've got this flipper that comes down. If the foreshortening, this flipper looks a lot longer than it really is. This flipper is definitely in front of that, right? It's connected to the whole body through the center here, okay? This arm, you know what? His neck needs to be different. We need to do more on his neck as I'm looking at it. I mean, we can do two things, right? We can make the neck darker like we did before. Let me make my gray, but way on the blue side. Maybe even a little bit of this cerulean blue. Okay, there we go. So this needs to be even darker underneath here. And I got to be careful not to touch the area that is wet. And I want to work a little quickly. Okay, cool. All right. So I don't know if that makes it a whole lot better. But for me, it makes a part of this painting work better. Okay. Whew. I'm hoping this is gonna lighten a little bit. This should lighten another 20%, 30% than this. Sometimes a little frightening when you do some adjustments at the end. But we needed something here. Okay, now when you look at it, you know that that flipper is back further, right? You know that this head is in front, and you know that this is in front of this area here. So without having a whole lot of other depth in here, our mind looks at it and goes, okay, cool, I can see the order. Smaller, further away, a little bit lighter color. Then this, that dark line differentiates what's behind it by what's in front of it. And then the whole thing flows up this way. I'm good with that. I like that. I like our shell. My only problem with the shell is I think it got a little washed out. I think I wish I had left this all a little lighter. Or I need to come in and make the underside of that shell a little darker. I'm not sure what to do with it. But if I look at this portion of it, I love that portion. I think that's great. In fact, you could put the head on there too. I like that. I'm just not exactly sure where it comes into here that we've got it quite right. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue to monkey with this for a second because I want this to really turn out really nice, is I'm going to put just that bit of blue in here. Who said this? This was Kelly said this, right? Yeah, and Kelly's right. This does need some blue in here. This needs a little something. It doesn't need a lot, but it needs a little something to help differentiate that shell from everything else. So let's give it some blue and see what it does. And you know what? This is just going to be a reflection of the water. So it's fine. It's totally fine. I'm gonna let that come back there too. Just like that. So now I've connected these two areas, right? Let's see if I can do it this way. I've connected these areas, this underneath part, everything underneath the shell, and actually it did make that shell stand out a little bit more. It really did make that shell stand out quite a bit more. If I put a little bit more on there, do I risk blowing it out and making it not right, or is it going to make it even stronger? Okay, cool. I like that a bit better now. Let's see. What? Let's see. Humbleness isn't bad. Michael's. I missed part of this. Let's see. Kelly's right. You can have a great tip on a brush, but what matters is the ability to use that brush. Well, that's true. Oh, and then Aliz said, "Oh, stop being humble." Okay, I got it. So this isn't bad. Michael's are shines through, which I think is his true go. Artists are always harder on themselves. Yeah, I can be hard on myself. I think it's important in some respects to be a bit hard on yourself or what you do, but I also think it's important that you understand that art is hard. Art is not always easy, right? There's a lot that goes on with it, and you can do 90% of everything right and 10% wrong and end up with something that you think looks odd. And that's okay too, right? Because a lot of art is odd. Doesn't mean it's bad. Just means in your mind it looks a little odd. There's nothing wrong with that. I had a discussion today with a friend of mine at work. It was like, drawing and painting is 90% perspiration and 10% everything else. You can get very good at it, and if you're not very good at it, you're still going to be good at it because art is so subjective sometimes. Liza says the shell just needs a tiny more dark underneath it. Underneath here, like this under here, I'm afraid if I do that. So it's a good point, Liza. I hear you. But I'm afraid if I do that, I'm going to lose some of this watercoloriness. This might be one that I revisit, you know, a year from now, 6 months from now, something like that. I don't know. I really think this painting is close to what I want it to be. It's not quite honestly, it's not quite there. It's totally fine. But it's pretty close. I think it's close. I'm going to paint that a little bluer. That's going to push that back in the painting a little bit. Okay. I'm looking at it up here. I'm looking at it down here. I get a little highlight on the eye. I think I'm going to sign it here somewhere. I don't even know if I can sign it. It's wet. I'm going to sign it here. And I do have to say, this paper, right? This paper has been wet. It was a roll, so I had to unroll it. I had to wet it on both sides, flatten it. It stayed flat overnight. Then I drew on it, and now I've re-wet it, and you saw it was pretty damp. Look, the paper is still, I mean, it's certainly not flat, but I've seen paper be a lot worse than that. It's still sitting pretty good. So actually kind of like, I'm impressed with the paper. Okay, I think that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'm gonna call it there. I don't know what we're gonna do next week. A pufferfish maybe. I don't know. But in 2 weeks, I believe it. Is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Oh, we're only the first weekend of July. I don't know. Whatever it is, we do have the challenge this month, which is sea creatures. This is kind of one of them. This is not my challenge painting, though. I'll let you know what we're going to do next week. Probably this weekend. I'll post that, what it's going to be. I want to get ahead with my drawings so I don't have to rush on Tuesday to do that. I want to thank you all for being here. I thank everybody over on Twitch. Thank everybody on YouTube. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you are able to join me back here again next Wednesday. And I don't know what else. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Until next week, thanks so much. Bye-bye.